President of the Crime Prevention Research Center, Dr. John Lott, says the rise in violent crime can be deterred if prosecutors start to make wide use of the death penalty in capital murder cases. One America's John Hines has more from Washington.
Dr. John Lott, president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, you're out with an op-ed in the Washington Times suggesting that if we want to deter murders, we should bring back the death penalty. Why, sir?
You know, obviously, violent crime has increased a lot over the last couple of years. People are very concerned about it. But one thing that's almost disappeared in the United States is the use of the death penalty. Since 2000, from 2000 on, there have only been 8 states that have used the death penalty, and most of those have just had one execution over that whole period of time. There are literally hundreds of people sitting on death rows across the country, but they're not being executed. And it takes over 20 years for the typical person who is executed to actually face execution. But there are a couple of reasons. One is just deterrence. I mean, we see this all the time. You see it in cases like Nicholas Cruz in the Parkland case, how he fought hard against having to face the death penalty. Or you see it in the Charleston church shooter case, where he agreed to 7 life sentences in exchange for them taking the death penalty off the table. You know, if they really didn't care about the death penalty that much, they wouldn't be trying so hard to go and avoid the death penalty.
What about in terms of cost? Is a lot of the people who are opponents of the death penalty say that it's actually expensive. The death penalty is expensive. Is that accurate, sir?
I think if you look at all the costs, it's not accurate. And the reason why it's not, people focus on the heavy costs of the trials, which is high, and they look at all the appeals that are done. The problem is they're not looking at trials that are avoided.
And is there a reservoir of support for the death penalty amongst the American population? What do we know about Americans supporting the death penalty or not supporting the death penalty? And what do we know about those Americans who support the death penalty as far as their socioeconomic status? Are they lower income, college educated? Where do they rate in terms of the demographics, do you suppose, Dr. Lott?
Right. Well, most Americans support the death penalty. It's about 3-2 in terms of support. If you could guarantee that the death penalty would be carried out more speedily than it is right now, that increases to more than 2-1. But it's very interesting to see who supports and who opposes the death penalty. The people that most strongly support the death penalty are relatively low-income people with like high school degrees. The people who very strongly oppose the death penalty are people who make over $200,000 a year and who have gone to graduate school. So basically what you see when you look at the data is that the people who are most likely victims of violent crime are the ones who strongly support the death penalty. The people who kind of get their impressions of crime from watching the news, those individuals are the ones who oppose it.
Dr. John Lott, president of the Crime Prevention Research Center, talking about new research he has been doing with regard to the death penalty, deterring crime, deterring murders, actually. And Dr. John Lott, thank you for talking to us on One American News, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on.
For all our viewers asking where One American News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One American News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable.